Here's my epoxy coating on my Radiator support panel, and after painting it you can definitely see the imperfections. There's a little dimple there, there's some tiny bit of waves over here, right there. I mean, part of it's the orange peel from me laying it down nice and heavy, but I can definitely see, like right here there's a wave, but I really like how that came out. That came out really nice. I really like that a lot. But other than the waves and stuff, I think it's gonna come out really sweet. So now I get to block sand it with 180 and try to get it as straight as possible. I want it a little smoother than what it is now. So with the blocking, hopefully I won't have to put too much more epoxy on there, but we'll have to see what happens when I block it out. So now we have one panel, but it is looking like how I imagined it. It's coming out really sweet. So another day of blocking, and so far I started on the block sanding of the epoxy, and I still have a low here, a couple lows. There's a low right here, so we can see that it's starting to show me all the imperfections, and I'm gonna just keep blocking this out, and hopefully I can get it as straight as I could. And you can see I'm doing one half first, then I will work on this half right here, and then in the end I'll do this curve here so that I can mend the two areas. And what my goal is to make the line here, this line, nice and straight, so that way I can make the curve nice and straight. And the same thing goes for down here. I'll make that nice and straight. And then this I know is perfectly straight because I didn't do any work on there, so I'm not worried about that. But at the end I'll mend it all together. And I'm just going to be using my soft block, my long block, and my small block to do this. And I bolted it to the table so that way it doesn't move. I have my support for this side, and I have a couple CD cases giving me support on the bottom half. And my panel is nice and sturdy, so I can use both hands, so I can concentrate on just getting it nice and straight. So I'm going to get to work on this, and we'll see how it comes out. So I got the panel turned around, and I did the other side. So basically you'll see that I first blocked this area here, and then the second portion that I blocked is this area, and then the final portion is this right here. And the reason why I do it in 3 sections is because it allows me to make this line a lot more straighter by blocking this and making the line on this side, and then blocking this one and making the line straight on this side. So now what I do is I just take my soft block, and I'll just basically tie in the two, and that just allows me to ensure that this line is straight for when the panel is painted and you have some light reflection, that this line looks straight in the reflection. So that's basically how I do areas with curves. So now on to the imperfections. This came out pretty good. I like how this came out. And you see there's a little bit of a low here. I guess there was a bubble or something that must have happened, and that just became a little bit of a low, or maybe I missed it in my blocking. All this is a high. I can see right here is a breakthrough, and then over here there's a breakthrough, there's a high, and I know that these are high because of the hole here. Same thing right here. It's a little bit of high, and I have here some, you know, dimples that I need to take care of. And then over here, this is all that's left of the low, and it's very minor because I did get to scratch it with the block, and here's a high. And so now all I have to do is block this here, block these areas here. Well, they're not really blocked, but I'm just gonna put on some scratches on there because I'm going to get ready for my second application of epoxy. So it's looking really good, really good. Well, here's the panel all prepped and ready for its second application of epoxy. So it's all sanded, nice and smooth, and you can see all the areas that I need to cover. And it's been waxed and greased removed. It's on my black plastic, and I'm ready to put the epoxy. Now for the epoxy, I'm not going to be using black. Instead, I'm going to be using the red oxide. And if you've seen my past videos, you've noticed that I use the red oxide as a sealer rather than an epoxy primer. And so because I don't have a lot of the red left over from my Nova, I don't want to risk not getting good coverage by trying to paint over the black. So by using the red oxide primer, I can probably get away with the little bit of red I have left and get great coverage. So that's the reason why I'm doing the red oxide now. And this also removes one step in the final paint, in that I don't need to apply sealer. So basically I'm just going to put in red oxide, and if it blocks out great this time, then all I got to do is paint it with no sealer needed. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm mixing it up right now, 2 to 1. 2 of the epoxy, 1 of the hardener, and I'm going to put it in my gun and going to get ready to spray. So the next time you see this panel, it will be red. Getting closer. Oh, here it is. It's now red. Oh, it looks pretty good now. Now I can see it a lot better. It's a lot straighter now, and you can see the line here. It's actually a lot straighter, and it's looking really nice. Now I laid it on really thick, so I have a little orange peel, but I wanted to make sure that I got enough of it on there so that when I start blocking, I get it to turn out straight, because I don't really want to block it 3 times. So I'm hoping that this will be it, so that way I can just throw down the red, the velocity red on there, and clear coat it. So it's looking really good. So now I'm gonna let it dry, and I'll give it maybe a day or 2 for it to dry. I want it nice and dry so that when I start blocking it, I can hopefully get it as straight as possible.